Yeah, that's us, boarding the ferry back from a wonderful trip in France without the caravan. Yes, we really did have to abandon it, and no, this isn't clickbait. So how the hell did we end up in this situation? Where's our caravan now? What broke and who's to blame? All that and more coming up in this video. So if you follow us on Instagram or Facebook, you would no doubt have seen that we had a really lovely time in France. Great company, great food, great places to visit, great location, awesome campsite. We had a really relaxing time. It was tremendous. That was until 9 minutes before we were due to leave to come home. We had a catastrophic failure with our tow car, and that meant that we couldn't tow our caravan. So in this video I'm going to go through a timeline of events, how the insurance fared, and ultimately what situation we are in right now. So let's kick off and start at the beginning. So the time is 10:21. I'm just capturing some last minute footage of the campsite because I want to do a tour of the campsite in a future video. So I'm just grabbing some shots here, there and everywhere. And we are now ready to hitch up and head off. The last task I perform on any part of us hitching up to head home is to attach the tow ball. And that's when I realised I have a big problem. The tow bar will not locate into the socket of the car. The pin hasn't pulled forward, the locking mechanism hasn't extruded, and the handle will not lock into place. And no matter how hard I try, the tow ball will not locate. I think I see what the problem is, so I take the blue handle off to just investigate a little bit further, and I do notice that the whole mechanism is slightly askew, it's slightly bent, it's not in the place where it usually should be, and no matter how hard I try, I cannot get it to locate. I even resort to using WD-40 and hitting the pin with a mallet just to see if I can free up the mechanism. No joy. We can't tow the caravan, the tow ball will not fit into the car. So that's when I make the first phone call. So I phone Red Pennant, I'm straight through to an advisor, I explain the situation, I explain where we are, I also explain that in 3 hours time we have to catch the ferry. There is no going back on this, we can't extend our stay any longer. Angela needs to be back in the UK for Monday, which means that we have to be back home for Sunday. There is no two-way about this, we have to get home. So I'm passed through to an expert, more on him a bit later on, but I'm passed through to an expert who I explain the situation, what model of tow bar I have, what the issues are going forward, and he agrees with me that even if I could get it to work, I'm best not towing with it anyway because it sounds like the mechanism is actually broken. So we are given a number of options. The first option is that we stay and they find the part and they post it out to us. We hitch up and head off as normal and they will cover the cost of the ferries and the extended stay. Fine, that's one option. The second option is that the car and the caravan are collected together with us in a few days' time and we're brought back home. That won't work for us because we do have an ultimate deadline to be at home for Sunday. And the third option is that we leave the caravan behind, we carry on our forward journey onto the ferry and we repatriate the caravan in a few weeks' time. The lead time is between 1 and 2 weeks. We discuss it over, Angela and I think about all the options, we wonder whether she should carry on home without me, I stay with the caravan. We go through a number of options, but ultimately and regrettably we decide to leave the caravan behind. The caravan is going to be placed into secure storage, we're going to carry on home and the caravan will be repatriated back to the UK, given back to us at our storage yard in 1 to 2 weeks. And that's the option that we decide to take. So at 11:03 I'm called back by Red Pennant and I'm told exactly what's going to happen next. The campsite have already been made aware of the situation that we are going through. We are told that we are going to have paperwork sent to us via the campsite that we must fill out and we must complete. We are to remove all valuable items and our personal possessions from the caravan and the caravan will be placed into secure storage until it's repatriated back to the UK. So that's the plan. The campsite owner, in the meantime, has come down and has joined us to see what the actual issue is, just as we wave goodbye to our friends and they set off their journey back to the UK. We at this point are thinking we're not going to make the ferry because we have to be at the port for 1:30 and it's an hour drive away already and we still haven't got all the balls in motion. I am told by the campsite that I need to move the caravan from where it is at the moment to another location on the campsite to make sure it is secure. And that's interesting because they have got the vehicle to do the job, but they're not licensed to move the caravan. So instead I do that. I get on board Nissan Navara. I tow it around fairly tight lanes in this campsite, to say the least. It's a bit of a challenge, it's a bit interesting, it's good fun, but I managed to get it out of where it is, take it to a new location on the campsite. I even reverse park it into the bay as well without any issues at all. Nobody was watching and nobody would believe me, but it did happen. Whilst I'm doing this, Angela is in the reception. She's now completing the printed out paperwork. And there is a lot of paperwork to fill out. There is customs clearance forms, there's declarations, abandonment forms, insurance details, inventory of possessions, a whole host of other forms that we all need to fill in and leave that with the caravan. There's a lot of information to go through. And I will say this. I made reference to a document I keep and made some time ago, which is information all about the caravan, you know, including its VIN number, its size and what have you, and other details. That was an invaluable document because everything that we needed for these abandonment forms was there. So that's my top tip. Keep all your details of your caravan in one documented place. It really does make a heck of a difference having everything together. It made life so much simpler. There is another top tip as well, and it's something that we didn't have in place, and I'll come back to that at the end of the video. So whilst Angela is completing the paperwork, I've moved the caravan to the location. It's now time to start stripping all our possessions. So we're taking things out of the caravan, the valuables, we're taking personal possessions, sentimental items, medication, we're taking everything out of the caravan that we possibly need to carry on our journey, and also that we don't want to leave behind in the caravan. We're also told to remove any items such as spirits, wines, tobacco, anything that the customs will pull us up on, because the caravan will get searched when it leaves France and it will get searched when it enters UK. So we've obviously make sure that none of that is on board. Now it's very clear to us that we need to make sure that Red Pennant have all the paperwork back with them. This is a very important step. Before we leave the caravan and before we make our way to the ferry, Red Pennant need to see all of the paperwork in place. The originals are kept in the caravan, but Red Pennant need to see copies of all of that. We have copies ourselves, so that's fine, but until they see it, we can't leave it. And it's a bit of a tricky situation. You see, we've got pretty poor Wi-Fi. The fax scan machine is a few years old, so it's quite slow. And the gentleman who's doing all the faxing has to do one page at a time and send it back to them. At 12:33, I make a phone call to Red Pennant to ask them, have you got the paperwork in hand now? We're ready to go. We need to get on the road in order to get to the ferry. They have got some of the information. They haven't got everything, but we do agree that we can go. We do have all the paperwork with us. We have copies of everything that we've left in the caravan. Now, I can't stress enough to you my overwhelming, heart-wrenching, stomach-churning emotion that I'm going through at the moment. I've been pretty calm up to this point, but this is now the point now where we're going to say goodbye to the caravan. And my overwhelming feeling are essentially saying to me, I'm never going to see this caravan again. And Angela also is feeling quite a tremendous amount of dread as well. But we've packed up the caravan. It's in a safe location. I put the security on it and we give it one last walk around of the caravan. And then we hit the road. At 12:48, we are on the road. Red Pennant agree that we can make our way to the ferry now. They have some of the documentation. The rest of it is with us, but the campsite is still continually trying to get the documentation over to them. But we have to get on the road. So at 12:48, we leave the campsite and we make our way over to Roscoff. It's a nice journey. We went different routes on the way back. We went through some beautiful villages and it was lovely. But we made it back to the ferry. We were one of the last cars to board the ferry on the way home. And I won't lie, once we parked up, went up on deck and we stood out on deck, I did have a little bit of a cry, and so did Angela, because it was just another thing. You see, what you don't realise is that 2025 has actually been quite cruel and quite horrible to us here in our personal lives, and this was just another thing. And we did feel quite overwhelmed with emotion. Now, one thing I want to say about Red Pennant is they dealt with everything, and I mean everything. They dealt with the campsite, they dealt with the ferry, they let them know that we were coming back without a caravan. They spoke to our onward campsite to let them know we were not attending. They dealt with everything, including the details of the repatriation of the caravan back to the UK. They were absolutely incredible. They were professional, they were accurate, and they helped us in a very short space of time get to the resolution that we needed. We got home just after midnight. We just left the boat at Plymouth and came all the way back home, and we got back very late. It was a very long, a very emotional and very tiring day, but Red Pennant kept us up to date with what was going on. So that was just over 2 weeks ago. So where is the caravan now? Well, that's a really good question. Here he is, back again. I cannot tell you the relief. It's locked as well. Can't tell you the relief I've got from seeing this old thing again. Right, let's get it back in the bay, and then we'll have a walk around. So that was all yesterday. I didn't walk around the van yesterday because I was just a bit overwhelmed and there was lots of things to notice. How is the caravan? Well, it's in good nick. There's no issues here at all. There is 2 casualties, however. The first is the fridge. It is filthy because we switched it off and closed it up and we never thought anything more of it, because by the time we were home it would have been opened up and aired out. It was closed up for the past 2 weeks and it's gone very mouldy, so we need to clean that. We're going to do that this weekend, I think. The second casualty as well is that one valve cover cap on the tyre, you know, the little, yeah, one of those is missing, and that's it. That's the only thing here which is broken or causing an issue. So there we go. So the caravan is now back and safe and with us. Anyway, so what happened? What caused this issue? And who's to blame? Well, let's get that out of the way first of all. I'm 100% to blame here. It's completely my fault. It's my own stupidity. It's my own fault. And I can only confess this to you. I can't shy away from this. I've got to own it. I've got to own up to it. It's my own fault. When we left for France, we packed the car in a very different way. We packed it so that pretty much everything was not on the floor in the caravan, but in the car. And the rationale for that was that we were going down to Plymouth, we were going to stop off at Exeter, and we were going to meet up with our friends as well, and probably use the van to eat some lunch in, eat some dinner in. But also I thought, well, if the custom guys need to come in and have a search of the van, there's not going to be stuff on the floor. It means that they can move around, and if they've got the dog that needs to check, you know, I thought, yeah, that's just sensible, isn't it? Making sure that our stuff, which is usually down on the floor there, that would not be in the way. So we packed the car very differently. So everything was in the back of the car, and the car was quite heavy. That's the first point you need to know. The second point you need to know is that just outside of our storage yard, there's a very small, inconsequential, but viciously fierce speed bump. Quite small, no problems at all. That's the second thing you need to know. The third thing you need to know is the configuration on how our jockey wheel is stowed on the caravan. Because it's quite a big chunky wheel, it can't swing backwards where jockey wheels are normally stored. This one has to fold forward, so it's quite close to the hitch head. You can probably guess where this is going now. When we left, the car was quite heavy. We left here in good time, and as I went over the speed bump, quite slowly as I always do, the caravan jockey wheel caught the top of the speed bump. It was as the car was compressing down on it, the right amount of distance had covered for the front of the caravan to hit the top of the speed bump. Thought nothing more of it. We drove all the way down to Exeter. I did comment to Angela on our way down how the caravan was towing really badly. I didn't like it. It's because there's no weight in it. We convinced ourselves it's because it had no weight in it. So we just carried on anyway. We got to Exeter, and I put the jockey wheel down to give us some support, the rear legs down so that we could have bite to eat and a cup of coffee. And I noticed some damage to the jockey wheel. In fact, there was a trail of tread wrapped around, well, the bracket at the hitch head. And what had happened is clearly where we had bottomed out, the jockey wheel had moved and it had sliced a piece of the jockey wheel tread off of the tyre. So I thought, oh my goodness, that's bad. Oh well, I'll have to get another jockey wheel at some point, perhaps. Not too bothered about it, thought nothing more of it. In retrospect, what had happened is I had hit the speed bump, I'd bottomed out, and I've put an unusual amount of load on the bottom of the tow ball, pulling up. So the jockey, the hitch head itself from the caravan would have pulled it up, but it would pulled it up at a really odd angle. And that angle, it can be seen in the tow bar, in the alignment of the mechanism. The mechanism is absolutely buggered. It's got nothing to do with the blue handle, which I originally thought it was. It's got nothing to do with it being seized up. The mechanism has been pulled out and has been bent inside the internal workings of that tow bar. I am going to strip it down in a future video because I am so curious as to what exactly has broken inside, but that is the only event that took place whilst we were going to France. Everything else was fine because as soon as we got onto site, I pushed the blue cap in, twisted it around, dropped the tow ball out, which you should always do with a detachable anyway. That's why you pay the premium for them. You remove them when they're not being used. And when I dropped it in and pulled it down, that was the last time it would have ever had the pin exposed on the top of the tow bar. Now I will say a huge thank you to PF Jones. David contacted me on our way back. He contacted me on the Instagram reel that I put up where I was explaining what was going on, and he reached out to me and he tried his absolute hardest to see if he could find me a tow bar replacement. Unfortunately, Witter don't seem to be making tow bars at the moment, and it's in a sorry state of sorry state at the moment. Getting parts or spare parts is just non-existent. So it was a brand new tow bar, and I decided that I would go for the Tow Trust, I think it is, Tow Trust tow bar. So they managed to get one down to me, and then I paid my preferred fitter, who is Neil at Ace Tow Bars. Lovely guy, lovely guy. Obviously they didn't need to worry about the electrics, that was fine. It was literally just the bar. So it was a couple of hours of labour for him to do that job for me. And yes, really happy with the end result. It means now I've got a brand new tow bar. The electrics are in a different place, so I need to hitch up and make sure that everything is going to fit okay, because they are in a different place. So that's something I'm going to do in the next day or two. But there we go. That is everything that happened to us. Now I've got a couple of takeaways from this whole event which I need to share with you. What are my final thoughts on how the insurance provider worked for us? I've claimed on insurance probably 3 or 4 times in my life, and this one was by far the most impressive. Because I had a fairly tight time constraint, because we had very little time to make any choices, they led us the whole way. They dealt with everything that I didn't even consider. They dealt with the campsite, the storage, they dealt with the ferry, they dealt with the campsite going forward. They literally, they covered everything, which is absolutely incredible. Yeah, okay, I had to wait 2 weeks for my caravan to be returned to me, but I have heard of other people who are still waiting months and months later for their caravan or motorhome to be returned to them where they haven't had Red Pennant insurance. And yes, sure, some people would have had a Red Pennant insurance and not had quite as good a reaction as me. But it's worth saying that if you ever do consider going abroad and you're a member of the Caravan and Motorhome Club, please do consider Red Pennant. You know, for the cost of what we paid for it, and I can't remember what it was, I think it was under £200 we paid for it, way back when. It was in the first video of our Going to France series. Whatever that was paid, it was worth that by no stretch of the imaginations. I mean, to store a caravan for 2 weeks, to use another ferry to get it back, and to pay somebody to bring our caravan back for us, far exceeded the value of the insurance that we paid for. So I would highly recommend Red Pennant. It's a 5-star rating from me. They couldn't have been any better. You know, after the caravan was delivered yesterday, I then had a phone call from Red Pennant team themselves, and they said, is everything okay? Is the caravan all right? Are you okay? How are you feeling? Because this has been a fairly traumatic experience. It wasn't a box ticking exercise. It was a real, are you okay type of conversation. Are you going to go away anywhere soon? Hope this hasn't put you off going abroad. They really did care about us. And I've read a couple of comments on our video, on our Instagram, of people saying, yes, but we wouldn't get the same treatment. I think that's a rubbish statement to make, actually, because the call staff don't know who I am. They don't know what I do. They don't know about this channel. They know nothing of that. They just know me as a customer on the end of the phone. They don't care what I do for a day job. They don't care what I do for a hobby. They just want to make sure that they do their job right. So I don't think I had preferential treatment. Certainly my name was never bandied around. And even the guy who dropped the caravan off, Ian, I need to give a special mention to him as well. Ian was the chap who I spoke to right at the beginning. He was the expert in dealing with caravans. I didn't realise it at the time, but he was the guy I told all the issues I was having, and he agreed with me that I couldn't tow the caravan. So he was the one who dropped it off. He's a caravaner himself. He really cared for this caravan whilst he was towing with it. You know, there's some roads there which were a bit obnoxious, but he said, you know, he took his time and what have you. And yeah, it was lovely to speak to him. Big thank you to him. Huge thank you to Ian for what he did in getting the caravan back to us in one piece. There's a second takeaway I need to make you aware of, and it's something that we never considered, but it's something that we are going to do now. In the whole process of filling out all the paperwork, we were asked to make an inventory of our possessions. Now, we've got a very high level document of we've got this, we've got that. It doesn't go into the granularity, it doesn't go into nitty gritty of absolutely everything, but in that circumstance, we need a document that we could prove we had 6 sets of knives and forks. We had 6 plates, we had 3 microwave bowls, we had this, we had that, you know, really everything, because surprisingly, if you ever need to replace any of that, it's surprisingly expensive. All the little bits that you need to deal with, not the big stuff like the TVs or the air conditioning, that's not the point. It's the little things which actually do mount up, and you also forget that you ever had them. If we were to document everything that we've got in our caravan and put a price against every single one of those items, I would guess that you and me and them and they were all pretty much underinsured. And the more I'm thinking about it, the more I'm thinking, yeah, we probably are. What's the difference between possession and equipment? And have we got enough insurance to cover it? So it's going to be an interesting process, and that's what we're going to do this weekend. Angela and I are going to clean the caravan, because like I said, the fridge is disgusting, the bedding needs to be changed, the carpets are full of sand, you know, the caravan is mucky. That's the inside. The outside is another story. I do need to clean the outside, and that is a video I'm going to do soon, because I'm going to use a jet wash. Or a power washer, I should say. And yeah, that's it. That's my takeaways from this whole event. Back to normal now, I suppose. We can go on holiday again. We were supposed to go away this weekend, but we cancelled it because we would rather clean everything up here and just try and mentally get rid of all of the shenanigans which has happened over the past couple of weeks. So there we are. That is our story. And please do let me know in the comments below if you've ever had to use Red Pennant, or you've ever had an issue abroad, and let me know, and the others, on how it was resolved and how you felt it was resolved. It'd be very interesting to read your comments. Anyway, that's it from me today. Please do hit the subscribe button, hit the notification icon. If you could do all of that, I will hopefully see you in the next upload. Thanks for watching, everybody. Take care now. Bye bye.